They don't block you. They don't say goodbye. They don't explain anything. One day, the messages just stop, and you're left staring at a conversation that used to be alive, wondering what you did wrong, replaying every word, every joke, every moment you might have said the wrong thing. This isn't just rudeness, this is a psychological phenomenon, and once you understand the dark mechanics behind it, you'll never be confused by silence again. The anatomy of a sudden disappearance. When someone stops texting you without explanation, your brain doesn't register it as social withdrawal. It registers it as a threat. Your amygdala, the same alarm system that fires when you're in physical danger, activates. Cortisol floods your system. Your thoughts narrow. You become hyper-focused on one question. What happened? This is called the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain is wired to obsess over unfinished things. An open loop in your mind demands closure, and when someone vanishes without explanation, they leave that loop wide open. Your brain will keep pulling you back to the unanswered question, sometimes for days, sometimes for years, because it physically cannot file away something that has no ending. They didn't just stop texting you, they handed your mind an unfinished sentence and walked away. Reason 1. The slow fade. The most common disappearance isn't sudden, it just feels that way. The slow fade is a deliberate strategy. Responses get longer to arrive, answers get shorter. Enthusiasm disappears one reply at a time. The person is engineering distance without ever having to say they want it. Why? Because confrontation triggers discomfort, and most people will choose the path that avoids discomfort, even when that path causes far more pain to the other person. The slow fade is cowardice, dressed up as drifting apart. The person knows exactly what they're doing. They're betting that if they make themselves boring enough, unavailable enough, and cold enough, you'll eventually stop reaching out, and they'll never have to say the words. You didn't lose them suddenly. They left slowly while letting you believe it was mutual. Reason 2. Emotional withdrawal as control. Here's where it gets darker. Some people go silent on purpose, not because they've lost interest, but because silence is power. In the psychology of control, withholding communication is one of the most effective tools available. It creates anxiety in the other person. It shifts the dynamic. Suddenly, you're the one waiting, the one wondering, the one who needs something from them. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, when attention is given inconsistently, unpredictably, sometimes warm and present, sometimes completely absent. It becomes more addictive than consistent attention ever could be. Casinos are built on this exact principle. You don't keep pulling the lever because you always win. You keep pulling it because sometimes you do. When someone texts you constantly, then suddenly goes quiet, your brain doesn't think, they've lost interest. It thinks, I need to do something to get them back. You message more, you try harder. You become more invested precisely because the reward has become uncertain. Their silence isn't absence, it's a leash. Reason 3. You became predictable. This one is uncomfortable to hear, but it matters. Some people stop texting because the chase is over. There's a concept in social psychology called scarcity principle. We assign more value to things that are rare, hard to get, uncertain. When something becomes guaranteed, available, always there, its perceived value drops. If you were always the one to reply first, always the one to keep the conversation going, always the one to check in when things went quiet, you trained them to believe you'd always be there. And once that certainty set in, the excitement faded. This isn't your fault, but it is a dynamic worth understanding. Availability isn't the problem. The problem is that many people, consciously or not, are only drawn to what they have to work for. When you made it effortless, you accidentally removed the one thing keeping them engaged. Reason 4. They got what they needed. People enter conversations with agendas they don't announce. Some people text you when they're lonely, bored, going through something, or need validation. You become emotionally useful. You fill a gap, and the moment that gap closes, the conversation loses its purpose for them, even if it never lost its meaning for you. This is called transactional connection. It looks like friendship, it feels like closeness, but it's built on need rather than genuine interest. And when the need is met, the connection quietly expires. You weren't a person to them, you were a function. And functions get replaced or abandoned when they're no longer needed. The painful part isn't that they left. The painful part is that what felt real to you was always conditional to them. Reason 5. The guilt disappearance. Sometimes people go silent because they've done something they can't face. They said something they regret. They made a promise they didn't keep. They used you, manipulated you, or treated you in a way that, in a quiet moment, they couldn't justify to themselves. And rather than apologize, rather than address it, rather than have the conversation that might require them to be accountable, they disappear. Silence becomes their escape route. If they never acknowledge what happened, they never have to own it. This is psychological avoidance at its most damaging, because not only do they get to dodge accountability, they leave you carrying the weight of something that was never your fault. You spend days wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is, they knew exactly what they did and chose to vanish rather than face it. Their silence isn't about you. It's about them being unable to look at themselves honestly. What happens to you when they disappear? Your self-worth takes the hit. Even when you know logically that their behavior says nothing about your value, your brain doesn't experience it that way. Rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Studies from the University of Michigan show that social rejection lights up the same regions of the brain as a physical injury. This is why being ghosted doesn't just feel bad. It actually hurts. You ruminate. You search for the moment everything changed. You read old messages looking for clues. Your brain is desperately trying to close the open loop, to build a story that makes sense of something that may have no logic at all. And here's the cruelest part. The person who disappeared isn't thinking about you anywhere near as much as you're thinking about them. While you're dissecting every conversation, they've already moved on. The power imbalance created by their exit continues to operate even in their absence. How to reclaim your power? First, close the loop yourself. You don't need their explanation. You need your own conclusion. Decide what happened, based on what you observed, based on what you know, and let that be enough. Your brain needs an ending. Give it one. Second, recognize the pattern for what it is. Someone who disappears without explanation is telling you something important about who they are and how they handle discomfort. That information is valuable. That's not the person you want in your corner when things get difficult. Third, resist the urge to chase. Every message you send into silence reinforces that their disappearance has power over you. Silence returned is the only language that resets the dynamic. And finally, understand this. The people who deserve access to you are the ones who communicate even when it's uncomfortable, who stay even when the conversation gets hard, who choose honesty over the easy exit of just going quiet. You are not hard to talk to. You are not too much. You are not the reason someone couldn't handle basic human decency. They stopped texting because of something in them, not something in you. And the moment you genuinely believe that, their silence loses every last bit of its power. If this made you think, subscribe. We'll be here. We always figure it out anyway.